Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. We've got a new PuErh release here. It's not that often that we have an aged raw PuErh tea because obviously aged stuff, good aged stuff, is very, very hard to come by. And when we find it in our sampling journey, it is one of those moments where we're like, yes, got an aged PuErh, and we have one here for you to enjoy. It's just arrived in, so let's unveil it. Here is the Midnight Oracle, and let's just stop for a second and focus in on this artwork by Celine. I hope that you can see it clearly. She went all out. She said to me, I really want to like do something that's a bit more like a bit different, a little bit more anime style. She'd been watching some animes that had these blue and orange tones to them, and she was very inspired by it. And we felt that it would fit this tea very well. So here you can see the iguana, cowboy iguana. You can see the cowboy hat here, and there's a little traveling case there. So we're imagining this sort of this nomad, this traveling cowboy iguana sitting by a campfire under a full moon with grilled apples or apples baking in the fire. And you'll see, hopefully, that flavor note will come through. Some of the flavor notes here in terms of the trees, in terms of the leathers, and in terms of the woods and the baked quality. Hopefully they'll come through in the tasting. So here is the Midnight Oracle, and the story behind this tea is that I felt that this was a very much, I often feel this way with aged PuErh teas. It's more of a sit back late night drink, although obviously drink whenever you want to drink the tea. But this was a very late night drink, and also I felt that, or we felt that it left us in a very sort of like a state of, as if we were like having a counseling session with each other. It was like this kind of long, deep sort of healing conversations. And so we decided to call it the Midnight Oracle. My imagination was that you would stumble upon this character who was just traveling, and you would sit and share baked apples or tea over the campfire under this full moon. And that, there would be this discussion, and that almost like your future would be laid out in front of you. This oracle, this sort of wise iguana giving you, a sense of your future and hopefully steering your path in the right way. The Midnight Oracle. Let's quickly scope this tea. This is a 2010 tea, so spring 2010. Cultivar Daejong, big leaf variety. Origin, this is from Linsang. I don't have any more information other than that. It's a Linsang batch of tea from old tea trees. I can't remember the age, but around 150 years old was the estimated age on these tea trees. So it definitely has that old tree taste. I don't want to throw it into the gushu. I don't know enough about it to be able to say that, but the estimation on this is about 150 years as far as I can remember. I'll check when we open the package. So Linsang, this is picking standard PuErh, picking for raw PuErh, sun-dried green tea essentially, which has then been aged. It's been aged loose since 2010 and was pressed for us in 2024. So 14 years aged loose, different from aged cake aged. It's got more of that, from my recollection, more of a dry aged taste. But obviously now it's been injected with steam and has been pressed. So now we've accelerated or kickstarted a bit more of another movement in terms of aging. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this develops. Elevation on this, I think, was around 1,600 meters estimated. But I'll check once I've opened it. I have another one here. So I'm going to leave that one there. I'm going to open this up. We can take a look at these leaves. Let me just double check what I couldn't remember. 100 to 150 year old tea trees, estimated 1,200 meters elevation. So wasn't quite right with my memory, but hey, does not matter. Take a look at these leaves. Definitely got that aged look, as you can see. Very aged. You probably can't see it against this dark wood. So let me show it to you here. Very aged looking tea. It's got some golden bud. The aging process, of course, is like a combination of fermentation and oxidation. Because it's been more in a loose state whilst it's been aging, there's going to be a little bit more of the oxidation ratio versus fermentation would be my assumption. That is just an assumption. I don't know for sure, but there's always going to be some fermentation happening as well because there are microbes on these leaves, and it will be left, you know, in a relatively humid environment. So there's going to be fermentation, there's going to be oxidation in differing amounts to, as I said, if it was cake aged, and now it is being cake aged. And I find it really fascinating, this combination of, you know, obviously if you press a tea young into a cake, then it's going to age very differently compared to aging it slightly loose, then steaming it after 14 years. That's going to be very different from steaming it at the time when it was basically young and just dried. So I don't know the differences. These are all experiments that will hopefully reveal themselves over the course of time, over the course of a lifetime. And maybe when I'm an older man than I am now, I'll be able to give you some of my opinions on that for future generations. Legacy, always passing on as much as you can so that we can continue our learning. Tea learning never ever stops. It's got many thousands of years of history, but it will continue for millennia onwards, hopefully, if we're all around and the tea leaves are still growing. Right, I've got my Toadhead Guy 1, been using this a lot recently. I really love this tall profile. It allows me to really load it up with leaves and really see those leaves very, very well. So the toad doesn't need any tilting of the lid. You just pour because you've got holes in the actual lid itself, if you haven't seen this. Mr. Toadhead. Reminds me of a series in the UK called The Office. For those of you who know, Ricky Gervais's famous Office. I know a lot of people watch the American Office, which I did as well, and I really enjoyed it. But the British one, for me, is always going to be the original. And at one point, they're insulting him, the manager, and they said, "Oh, what you mean when we call you Mr. Toad?" And he was like shocked, like, "Mr. Toad? You call me Mr. Toad? The ugliest of all amphibians." And I don't know why, always every time the word toad, every time I hear the word toad, I see Ricky Gervais's face for some reason, which is not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but it is a thing. All right, I've definitely taken too much leaf here, so I'm just gonna put in still too much, but hey. Let's go. First session of Midnight Oracle, the iguana traveling cowboy nomad under the full moon, that amazing anime cover by Celine. I'll show it to you again later. Here we go. Let's have a sniff of this tea. Now, it arrived about 2 weeks ago, so I've left it a while, resisted. Here we go. Okay. So when I last smelt this tea, it was loose. Obviously, it was a Malcha. Now I'm smelling it again. I'm getting a different smell. I'm getting that steamed, it's been steamed and pressed. So I'm getting more of a fermented smell. I'm getting, like a fermented, I'm getting a combination of salted plums and fermented plums. So salted plums, I'm getting some sweet soy sauce. So the salty, savory notes, but with that dried fruit note. I'm getting the fermented, I'll throw it under sort of like a fermented plum liquor of some sort. Not plum wine, deeper, stronger, more incense. I'm getting incense. I'm getting sandalwood. I'm getting attics. I'm getting a touch of ginger biscuits, ginger snaps. Yeah. So combination of spice, fruits, woods, incenses, and savory sweet soy. You know those Japanese rice cracker snacks that have that sweet soy smell, or just dark sweet soy. Yeah, very, very nice. Right, let's give this a rinse. Obviously, you can spend a lot of time assessing these notes, these aromas. This is just off the top of my head as we smell them, but look at the tasting descriptions on the website and you'll see if I added a few more, if I've changed my opinion, but it's definitely got more of a fermented smell than I recall when I was smelling it when it was loose. Right, wet leaf smell. Now it's coming alive. Oh wow, okay. Well, the first thing that I smell is that sweet soy, and that fermented salted plum has moved into a fermented soybean. So like fermented black beans. So it's got this it's sort of sweet and savory at the same time. Leathers, I'm getting loads of leathers, but I don't know if this makes any sense to anybody, but more like that sweet leather smell. I don't know if that's a thing, but like I sort of associate the smell of leather on the one hand to be more like a suede kind of smell, a little bit more animalic and a little bit more like the skin, versus a leather which has been polished and been processed and it has a sort of sweet vinyl-y sort of smell to it. So leather, I'm getting those fruit leathers, cherry fruit leather. I'm getting woods, sweet woods. I'll just throw it under the antique wood note, but it is very, very sweet. Everything here is sweet. I'm getting menthol as well. Cherry, but I'm going to say cherry cough syrup. So I hope you're picking up. They're all sort of merged to me. Cherry cough syrup and menthol merge, mixed with that sort of vinyl leather note. They merge together. And then you've got these spices, like incensey spices. I'll say sandalwood, but you know, that's just because that's the only incense ingredient off the top of my head that I can throw out there. And for sure, this distinct fermented soybean note as well, which is, I think, probably the most unusual note that I don't recall smelling in other raw PuErhs, aged raw PuErhs. Develop this intense Japanese rice cracker, sweet soy, fermented black bean note, which is really nice and actually combines well with, surprisingly well, with the sweeter notes of like cherry cough syrup. It makes me want to experiment with using fermented black beans in desserts. This is what's going on in my head because I didn't expect that those would work together. Right, the Midnight Oracle needs another oracle here. A little, I don't know if this is meant to be Lu Yu or some other philosopher, but so my choice today, while the kettle is heating up from 86 degrees, I will show you the cover one more time so you can again admire, I hope, I just love this. I love this cover. It's very different from my other covers and I don't know if she's going to continue that theme or not, but it is definitely striking. And the character of that iguana looking at you, friendly but serious at the same time, a wise iguana. And you can see, hopefully you can see there's a traveling case and there are some leather boots there. So we picked up that leather as well. Okay, here we go. Let's brew this up. Oops. Always put the holes of this kettle on the other side. Rookie error. We're going to do relatively flash brewing on this. I expect with these teas that, you know, with these aged teas, usually the tea doesn't start to really reveal its character fully, or how do I put it? The main character of the tea usually reveals itself after the third or fourth infusion. At the beginning, the first stages of this tea, so interesting. The first stage of this tea of aged tea brewing is more about you get the sort of instant release notes, usually quite woodsy and quite sort of less balanced. And then it balances out and becomes this characterful experience. So much going on in these leaves. Okay, look at the color of the liquor. Is a deep deep orange gold, almost coppery. I always have these tools, but for some reason I never use them, right? It's because I'm always so used to throwing my fingers into everything. Already starting to see the green in them. Okay, cheers everybody. Okay, in this case, the tea is revealing itself relatively quickly, picking up a lot of the fruit off the top of the bat. I'm picking up apricot. Apple, but I'm picking more like apple candy. It's actually brighter and lighter than I would have expected. Okay, flash infusions or relatively short infusions certainly help. I'm picking up the pine trees that are in the shadows on this cover. I'm picking up pineapple as well. So pineapple and pine. Pineapple's quite ripe. Woods are there. Pine woods, antique woods as well. Those fruit leathers are still there. That little hint of fermented soybean is also there, but it's nowhere near as strong as in the smell, which has started to fade a little bit, but it's still quite upfront. Again, adds a certain sort of intrigue to the taste. This fermented note and this soy savory note as well. There's some honey in here as well. Oh, very particular note. Now I've picked it up. Chestnut honey. Wild chestnut honey. Chestnut honey tastes very different from any other honey. If you've ever had a proper chestnut honey, you'll know what I mean. It has a medicinal kind of quality to it, but not in an unpleasant way, in a very, very specific way. It doesn't even taste like chestnuts. It just has a very, I mean, I guess if you've ever had Manuka honey, there are some similarities, but chestnut honey is very, 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 very intense taste. And that is being left in my mouth, a really intense chestnut honey taste. I'm getting heat developing in my body immediately with 2 cups. Really, like the sides of my body is just emanating heat. I sense the power of this tea from the outset. The leathers are there. The woods are there. I'm not getting so much of the baked apple yet, but the woods are there. No fire, no smoke. Stone, some like flint or slate. Definitely the environment of like a deserty, stony. It's got that heat quality to it. Wow, I'm surprised at how smooth and thick and developed the flavors are for the first infusion. All right, let's brew this one up again. Second infusion. I'm going to roll through these very quickly. Ooh, that cherry note coming through. There's lots of little cameos coming out, little pops of cherry and leather and all sorts happening, which is such a delightful reason why we enjoy PuErh tea so much. It's sort of a tea type which has cameos. They come, they go, they're fleeting, sometimes frustrating. Like, where did that flavor note go? Or what is that flavor note? And then it's gone. There's all of that happens, and that engaging experience is why PuErh is so loved by so many people, and why I find a lot of people at the beginning of their PuErh journey might be frustrated by it, because it's like, I get lots of woods and I get hints of fruit, but then it's gone. It's less pronounced or less consistent compared with, for example, an oolong tea, which has been developed around how do we bring out that flavor. This is more about, no, you're going to taste what the land offers you, and it's going to be giving that to you sparingly or suddenly in transient stages where you get it and then it's gone, or even in the mouth, transient stages, you get it at the beginning and then it's gone, or it only comes after 5-10 minutes after you are swallowing. And I'm getting this amazing jasmine and apricot, sweetness, which, just as I'm saying, is like really just starting to come out now. Wow, the flowers are coming out of this tea. Jasmine and apricot, the color become more dusky, more sunsetty. Cheers, everybody. Wow, this tea has settled into its groove very, very quickly. The minerality's popping out a bit more. I said flint before, and I'll stick with it. It's got a drying quality in the mouth, but very quickly that drying quality sort of shifts. It stays on the top, but then shifts around the side, and I'm getting that sweet juiciness, which at the beginning just feels like sort of watery, sort of saliva juiciness. But after a while, that develops into this apricot and jasmine sweetness. Feeling it in my stomach, wanting to burp, definitely got some power, definitely got some strength. I'm drinking this on an empty stomach. I like to do that with these kinds of teas. Not for the faint-hearted. If you feel like you want to line your stomach first, then go for it. But this really gives me a great way to assess this tea. The heat is rising. These little notes that come, they go. You know, I'm picking up this slight alcoholic note to it. I want to say something like, it's a fruit. It's like apricot, liquor, schnapsy kind of palinka quality to it. Not in terms of the alcohol strength. It doesn't have an alcohol, vaporous alcohol note to it, but the aftertaste, if you've taken a shot of a let's say an apricot palinka or something like that, it's just got that something that is that stays, hangs around. It's so nice, that fruity little alcoholic fermented note that comes through. These pops of brightness, that mango, not mango, that pineapple, boom, little pop, and then it's gone. Then it gets hit with that the woods and the forest, and the stone, the leathers. Gorgeous. Second infusion, I'm really starting to feel it after 2 infusions. Even though I did load up the leaf into this Toadhead Guy 1, I'm feeling a distinct psychoactive alteration. I'm feeling a little bit woozy. I'm feeling like right here at the top of my head is got like a sort of tingly but numb feeling at the same time. It's that combination of, just an altered sensation. It's tingly but also feels sort of numbed. It's strange. We'll see how that develops. That black bean ferment is just there, and it's so good because it like gives a different angle, a darker angle. Dark soy is still there. Prune juice, but like prune juice that's very dark prune juice, like almost like alcoholic or concentrated, or something that's medicinal. Really making me burp. I'm going to have one more infusion of this before I let it settle and sit, and then drink more infusions. But I am certain that this is a strong, strong tea. And like I said, when we were drinking the Malcha, that feeling that this was going to be a tea that would lend itself really well to contemplative, deep conversations or contemplative moments by yourself, where you sort of take that step inwards into yourself, but also a step outwards in terms of gaining perspective that allows you to navigate a pathway into the future that is clearer for you to see, which is why the Oracle, the Midnight Oracle. All right, let's go. One more infusion of the Oracle before I let it settle in. I've been brewing, what, 30-second infusions, something like that. You can brew shorter. In fact, I'll brew this one a little bit shorter, just to sort of see if that changes anything in terms of the taste. Super dark still, even for flash infusions. You can see. Wow, such a lovely color. You're never going to pick that up through that camera. When you look at it through the light, when the light's shining through it, wow, it's a beautiful, like deep, rich, just, what is that color? Like sunset gold. It is amazing. Wow, getting the sweats. Oh, smooth. Texture on this is interesting. It's thick, but it's structured. So it's not thick and oily, it's thick, but then the minerals are there. It's just got this like, this structure to it. And quite hydrating as well. It feels like it's getting sucked into my mouth. The aftertaste and the finish is mega, just pulling, pushing, juiciness on the back sides of my tongue, and it really floods, and then it moves forwards, and then I get to taste this jasmine and apricot note. Wow. Also that mineral note lends itself to petrichor. I'm getting that summer rain on pavement taste in my mouth, as well as the chestnut honey. Oh, much more, even more complex than the taste of the matcha when it was loose. Still not picking up those baked apples, but hey, that was the difference. That's the difference. When you press something, it changes it, but we'll see how it develops. I'm gonna settle in a bit, relax, because I've hit 3 infusions very quickly, and then I'm gonna drink some more, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts on the Midnight Oracle. I drank too much. I drank too much. This tea is I just don't really feel like I want to talk right now. I just want to sit and let this feeling settle in. I've had maybe 2 more infusions. In fact, 1 more infusion. This is the next one, but just those 2-3 infusions, just they hit me in such an amazing way. And I'm trying to work out how to describe it, but it's very difficult. It's like, in a way, very contemplative, very meditative. I feel like what I want to do more than anything right now is climb to the top of a very high mountain with a beautiful vista, let the cool breeze just evaporate the sweat which is pouring off me, and just cool me down while I meditate. It is extremely deep set. The Midnight Oracle, it's like, you feels like it just soaks into you, and everything on the one hand, it's like what I said before, numb but tingly. Everything feels like my whole body feels like it's vibrating, but also feeling very still. It's strange sensation. And I want to just experience it and enjoy it and feel it rather than describe it. But that's the best I can say. It's like, I don't feel rushy or rushed. I feel like I'm humming. I feel like my body is like a tuning fork, like you've hit it and it's just going, doo. and it's just humming. It's very vibrational. If you can take that word without being, set off with like, what does he mean? But you know what I mean? I feel like I'm vibrating. It's a very, very interesting feeling. Contemplative. I can imagine having very good conversations on it, but I also think this would be tea which would very much suit those moments where you feel like you just want to not necessarily think about your life or like, try to make too many plans, but just switch everything off and let the power of meditation. Switching off actually switches on other discrete channels and discrete information and subconscious ideas and thoughts that sort of lead you to some sort of clarity. And it feels like this is that tea for me. I've immediately become a very precious potion in my stash of teas from this session. And I do not recall it being so strong with the Mao Chai. Again, this very interesting thing of like aging it loose, then after 14 years giving it steam is different from giving it steam when it's just been dried and it's young. Different. Wow. Taste. Remarkable. So nice. Texture, thick, structured, moves again to oily. It moves to oily. I was saying before, it's not oily. It's not thick and oily. It's thick, structured, but then suddenly becomes silky in your mouth. Juicy, silky. Lots of taste of incense combined with fruit, but not apple. I would say it's apricot. So you're going to have to sort of imagine that all of these are apricots. But it's got that, not smoke, but the spice of incense with leathers, pines, resins, apricots. A little bit of apple candy, but not baked apple so much. In the stomach, it feels digestive. It's gurgling in my stomach. Rising heat. I mean, I am literally like sweating under this shirt. The body sensation, though, is something else. Let's smell the empty Gong Dao. Let it evaporate a bit. Oh, sweet. Rock sugar, lilies. Again, I need to research more about incense ingredients. It's not just sandalwood. It's not the little bit of a touch of the oudi quality to it, but I'm grappling. I need to really dive more into those spices. That's going to be part of my training this year. Learn more about incense ingredients. An absolute potion. I probably overdid it in terms of speed and amount, and so I'm going to leave this video a little bit woozy, and I hope that I've given you enough information to intrigue you in this tea. The Midnight Oracle instantly become, just from 3 infusions, has become a tea that I will never mess around with. This is a tea that you pull out when you feel like you want those moments. And I would advise, if you drink this tea, treat it like a potion, hit it hard, have that experience, make it ceremonial, make it a thing. Like, my opinion, don't skimp on the leaves, load up your Guy One, go for it. It'll take you places. And the flavor is just divine. That's it, tea heads. Check out other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I am a tea lifted, but in a sort of weird, sideways, other dimension kind of way, Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff. And please spread the word so other people can experience the revelation of true tea. That's it. Bye.